This camera has 17 variations and over 1.2 million of them have been sold. But most people haven't even heard of it. The world of vintage cameras is incredibly varied with a style for almost anyone. So we're gonna look at a few that I personally really fell in love with. Starting with the canonet. The first version of this came out in 1961. Canon, a fairly boring company at the time, tried to aim this camera at a cheaper prosumer demographic. Its rather simplistic controls really do reflect that, but it is beautifully sharp. Naturally, it got a lot of comparison to Pentax and Leica, but it really is its own thing. Just like this one. No, I mean this one. The one that fits in the palm of your hand. This is the Pentax 110, and it's hard to believe how small they managed to make this camera. And not just the camera, the whole camera system can fit in one hand. It's absurd. And it has 3 interchangeable lenses at this size, an 18mm f2.8, a 52.8 Colossus, and a 24 2.8 Pancake. That's right, Pancake, at this size. Naturally, 35mm wouldn't fit, so 110 film has to be put in. Thankfully, this company, Lomography, still makes a ton of it. But how do you expose? With the light meter, using only 2 LEDs, this camera actually has auto exposure. It's auto, but if you're looking for a less automatic experience, I might recommend this. The Leica CL. Allegedly not even a Leica. Because it was designed in collaboration with Minolta. It also launched under the names of Leitz Minolta CL, Minolta CL, and a couple of other ones. But believe me, just because it's not made by Leica doesn't mean it's not gorgeously designed. Like a watch, this camera is entirely mechanical. If you don't have a battery and light meter, it still runs perfectly fine, which is a good thing because the light meter famously dies a lot. It will happen.
If you want to see a full video on any of these cameras, go down and comment which one you want to see, and please subscribe so you can actually see when it comes out, and it does also help.
But what if you want the digital version of this camera? The Fujifilm X10 is the lesser-known little brother of the X100. With a 2/3 inch sensor, it's pretty solid, especially when you consider that the 2/3 inch sensor is nearly double the 2012 competition. It also manages to have a 28-112 2-2.8 IS equivalent lens. There are 2 features that I believe keeps it somewhat relevant today. First is the magnesium alloy body. It is a true pro feeling camera. It is so nice to the touch. Second is the EXR feature. If you don't need the full 12 megapixels, which is but if you don't need the full 12 megapixels, you can crop down to 6. It will use half of those pixels to either increase dynamic range or do noise reduction. That is to say, if you're uploading to something like Instagram where resolution isn't as much of a factor, this is a banger option. I actually did a video on this one already if you want to see more about this. But the next one's a lot cheaper and is a lot more substance over style. This is the Canon Rebel with 8 megapixels, no live view, and basically no features. The advantage is getting access to Canon's EF mount with a crop sensor and a lot of performance for generally under $40. There are so many of these cameras and they are constantly cheap. Even on places like MPB, eBay, you can have these cameras for next to nothing and they are amazing. You can use them with an old lens for that more retro digicam look or a proper lens if you're just getting into photography. This is my first camera and I think it's a banger. And speaking of banger, this video is over. Thank you for watching. God bless.